Give me the money. Give me the money!
Good morning, afternoon, evening, or night, everybody, whatever it happens to be, wherever you happen to be. My name is Octavian, and this is going to be Price Check Episode 12. Now, for those of you new to the series, let's give a brief synopsis. I'm going to be taking this full tab of unidentified rare gear here, and really late at night for some reason, it's 5 in the morning while I'm recording this, I'm going to be IDing it all, price checking it, and putting it into the relevant tabs. The idea being that people can maybe learn by example as I price check this gear and give my reasoning behind all the decisions that I make. So, let's get started. Now, as I mentioned, it is rather late. Just completed a very, very long stream. Wanted to try and get the leveling done on my new character all in one go. And, you know, I'm no speed leveler myself. I do prefer to play the end game. I don't really do a lot of racing or anything like that. So it took me around 7 or 8 hours to get the character fully leveled. But he is just about done now and feeling very, very promising, so hopefully in a few days I'll have a build guide out on my new build. Which you can come and watch the process of building it on the stream if you're at all interested in that. Link should be down in the description below. But let's get started here. No movement speed, very low life roll. We're not going to be holding on to those. Very low life roll as well. And good wed roll, or elemental damage with attack skills, which used to be called weapon elemental damage, which is why you might hear some people call it wed still. W-E-D. E-D-A just doesn't sound quite as good, but, you know, maybe it'll catch on. 41 life, some stats, but altogether not very nice. This, on the other hand, could be a candidate for a Vol orb. Mediocre belts generally get the Vol. And I think we're going to go ahead and do that to this one. 73 life is okay. And then a handful of resistances. That's good enough for me to want to throw an orb at it. I've actually made a decent profit on voling belts this league. I've probably volled a dozen or two, and I've sold a few that I have volled for one at 15C and one at 25. So I've overall made a profit. I like to see attack speed and flat fire dispels, but I don't like to not see spell crit or spell damage or anything like that, and the attack speed roll is not particularly high at all. 43 strength is good, and lightning damage to attacks is very popular right now, given that we're in a Barrage Wander meta, which can make use of lightning damage very effectively, but nah. Nope. All res is nice, but, you know, needs a few things other than just that. Same for all attributes. 51 life is just about the border where if this had really good other rolls, you could maybe sell it, but it does not have really good other rolls. 4 life, not quite good enough. Fizz, a stat, another stat, Low resistance is no life. No resistance is no life. Not a life roll in sight so far. We're having pretty bad luck, and this gear is pretty high eye level. I'm surprised, actually. We haven't come across something of note yet, aside from a vol-worthy belt. 48 life is too low. 45 int, and that's a good fire damage to attacks rolls, but life regen is bricky, and while all res is good, we don't have a life roll here. You could consider crafting life onto this. No. Crafted life on rings is so very low to begin with. It's not enough resistances to salvage it. A 9 all-res roll is okay, but and flat fire isn't in high enough demand, I don't think. While it is quite good in Brutus Light Sprinkler, there's not as many people playing that as there are people playing, say, Barrage Wanders. If that were really good lightning damage to attacks, I might consider it more. That combined with, say, a wed roll. And then some resistances. Then I might be willing to craft life onto it. Then for sure I would. Percent evasion is not necessarily a terrible thing on an otherwise good amulet because of the existence of Queen of the Forest, but I don't think this is quite good enough. Rarity as well is not a bad thing on an otherwise good amulet, but 2 value add stats alongside almost no value aside from some resists makes for a bad amulet. 40 life is a bit too low. So is 55, though flask charge reduction is nice. 73 life is potentially high enough, but no good rolls. I wish I could make a hybrid of these two. That would be nice. Wed, kind of low. No life. 7 life. 66 life, a resistance, some rarity, and a terrible, terrible, terrible accuracy roll. This might sell for 2C at most. So we'll list it at that. It's got a lot of fire resist, so someone looking to fill out that in their build might want it. But no damage rolls, really, no resistance. At best, I think 1C at this point in the league, and probably not even that. It does only require level 48, which is a point in its favor. Somebody might look to buy it early on. So we'll put it up for 1 chaos, and it might sell. Crit strike chance for spells, but nothing else really great. Not very synergistic. Plus 3 life. Ruined that ring. 2% chance to block, not useful. Cast speed is actually pretty good, but not when paired with flat fizz damage and no life. Nope. 69 life, 37 ints, some spell damage, a resist, and a good implicit. That can sell. No thank you. No thank you. So we got a few pieces of gear that have some amount of value, and actually we've entered enough rings there that we got a prismatic and a power ring back, so we can check those. 75 life, some stats. Prismatic base. Early in the league, really early in the league that could sell, but I don't think anymore. Not without, like, decent explicit resistances. But we'll go ahead and vol this. And not get any change. Put it up for a chaos. Probably won't get it to sell, though. We'll sell it in... We'll just vendor it in a day or so. And, 69 life. Plus some strength implicit. So that's going to be 70-something-ish life. 70, almost 80 life. Yeah, actually, 80 life is what that is. So 80 life, a low-ish spell damage roll, but spell damage nonetheless, plus int and a resist, and presumably room for another resist. Let me check. Let's see if I'm remembering my prefixes and suffixes correctly. Yeah, room for another resist, which actually I'm going to go ahead and craft that on. I think this is a pretty good amulet. Not amazing, but I'll spare the Regal for it. Regals aren't that expensive. We'll hit the 8 all-res roll, which gives it the widest range of resistances. You could have thrown, say, a lightning or cold at this if you wanted to. I think that would be equally justifiable. But this gives us the highest total resist and the widest range of resistances, and we'll put it up for 5C. I wouldn't be surprised if it sold at that relatively quickly, actually. It's damage, good life, decent resistances, and a stat. That might actually sell for more than that. We're going to start it higher. I'm going to start this at 10 and lower it. Give it a chance to sell to the right buyer who might even want that mana for a Mind Over Matter build. Alright, back to price checking. I'm not confident that that will sell at 10. I think 5 is a much more quick sell on that amulet, but I don't really need the money right now, so I'm willing to give it the chance to sell a little higher. To someone who can use all of the stats together, including the mana, rather than someone who's just wanting to pick it up for, like, the life and resistances and a bit of spell damage, maybe. No life, no attack speed, no flat damage, like this is no resistances. These gauntlets just are terrible. And that's pretty terrible as well. 10 life kills this. 51 life, not high enough, and no other good rolls. 47, same story. No life, not synergistic. 47 life, a good flat armor roll on a good base, but the life is too low. The resistances aren't really there, and there's no damage mods. 79 life is quite a good roll. Some accuracy, some mana for a Mind Over Matter build. This is really only missing a few resistance rolls to be worth trying to sell. The accuracy is kind of low, though, and ES is not particularly valuable, so we're going to get rid of it. But it pains me to vendor a 79 life roll on anything, really. Well, on any ring, really. 19 crit multi. It's the first crit multi we've seen, but again, of the wall is not useful. Pretty much kills any jewel that it gets put on. Ooh. Oh, that could have been real good. 52 strength is nice. This could have been one worth crafting life on. Is it still? I don't think it has space for it. I'm pretty sure that all the flat modifiers to attacks are prefixes, but no, strength is a suffix. What about accuracy? I'll have to check. We'll see whether or not we can put life on this. I don't know if it'll be worth it. 13 all-res is the resistance roll you want. You want all-res if you're only going to have one. Covers you most bases. Cold damage to attacks and fizz both work for Frostblades. That's a really low fizz roll, though. That is literally as low as it goes. But strength, accuracy, these are both things that Frostblade builds might need. And the strength does supplement the life a little bit. So we craft 40 life onto that. That's actually like, what's that, 60, 70 strength? I mean 60, 70 life, including the strength. So it's not a terrible ring. Crit multi. Nothing else really. Cold res is not worth hogging, in my opinion. Another good strength roll, but nothing else backing it up that time. Attack speed again, pretty good, but nothing else. And 16 life is way too low for a chess piece to ever be sellable to anyone except Navali. She's not very discriminating. I'm going to see whether or not we can put life on this. We can indeed. This might be worth it. We'll price check this in depth at the end of the episode. Throw that in the second tab to do that. Alongside this amulet, I was going to price check this as well, so we'll cover both of those at the end of the episode. Let's finish out the tab first, though. I'm not comfortable in just giving that item a price check off the top of my head because it is a bit of an oddity. 90 life, no resists. Lightning res once again. Not very synergistic. That's not bad. 45 and a spell damage roll, 70 life, and an all-res roll. We're seeing a lot of all-res rolls today. Probably sell that for like 3C, maybe 2. Low in resistances and low damage roll. Probably 2 or 1, actually. On second thought. And none of the rest of those had any real value, so we'll put that amulet up for 2C to start. Alright, and let's get to the in-depth checking on these pieces of gear here. So, we're gonna go ahead and swap over to my browser window where I was buying leveling gear for my characters. So, there's a cauterizer there still, but let's go ahead and search up that ring first. Now, let's refresh my memory on the stats. It had... The fizz roll isn't particularly important. I think we can actually kind of ignore that and price it otherwise. So what it has is 52 strength, and I'm going to specify strength here. A lot of the times, if you look back through episodes, when I see a high stat, I'll look for one of any high stats. So like either 50 dex, strength, or int, because they all have similar values to each other. But here the strength is adding to our life roll, so we're going to search for that specifically. So strength of, let's go with 45 minimum. We'll be a little lenient. Accuracy is also a pretty valuable role in this ring. A lot of players that are going to want to use this ring are going to want good accuracy for a crit build. So we'll go with 280 minimum. And then resistances. Pseudo total elemental resist. And first I want to find out if this is worth selling without crafting chaos, without crafting a life roll onto it, because that'll cost me 4 chaos to put a good life roll on, or as good as I can get. And if I can get a profit off of it without having to do that, then I'm not risking anything, and that's better. So 13 all res is 39 resistance, and then 27 implicit is 50, 66 resistances. So I'm just going to put in 60 all res, but a maximum of 75, so we can get something that doesn't go too high. I won't go 55 to 75. We'll do a range of 20. All right, and we'll put a maximum on the accuracy as well of 330. Get a pretty accurate vision of what we're looking at here, I'm pretty sure. Anything else important? The flat fizz isn't particularly... The cold damage is, though. 17 plus 9 is 26 divided by 2 is 13, so it's an average of 13 cold damage to attacks. Cold damage to attacks of, let's put in 10. Nothing that close to our ring is listed right now that we can check offline as well. One result at 3C. This doesn't have space for life though, it's fully bricked up, so that's not actually very close to our ring, since ours does have space for a life roll. So let's loosen this search a little bit. We can drop this down to like 6. I think that's probably holding us up quite a bit. And let's see what that turns up. One result, doesn't have a price, been up for a week, that doesn't help me. And the other result is the one that we still have. So we're gonna need to change this up somehow. What's the best way to do that to find a accurate result? We could just drop the cold damage and see what happens. This might not be too informative though. 8 results, that's moderately informative actually. So if we scroll through this, again, can't craft life. Can craft life on this. This is up for 5C at 22 hours. And it doesn't have a damage mod like what we have. So that bodes pretty well for us already. Now, of course, most people are going to be searching and looking for life, so they're not even going to find these rings, even though this is not necessarily a bad ring, though this I wouldn't personally buy, but maybe one more like this, which does have a damage mod on it, or a better damage mod, basically one like the ring that we have, which has a damage mod and craftable life. So perhaps it's best to craft the life on just so it shows up in searches, like if I were to then specify some amount of life as an explicit. Do we turn up anything? One result, 14 life. What about offline? It's very late at night. There might not be a lot of people online. Yeah, so let's sort by the life explicit. And see, with a good life roll, a ring actually worse than ours in a lot of other respects is 100C. 120, 60, though. How long have you been up? Only 7 hours. Which is sort of a... It is something which you should take with a grain of salt, because that doesn't necessarily mean the price is accurate, but something that's been up for like 3 weeks without selling, that price is probably inaccurate. So it's a way of checking sort of whether or not it's accurate. And this is very similar to ours. The 21% wed is more valuable in a lot of cases because our damage is very specific and only usable by builds that will want flat damage, but it's still an elemental damage mod. We've got more strength, we've got more accuracy, and we've got very similar resistances. So this is up for 140C, that's with 44 life, which is as much as we can craft. So judging by this ring alone, it's definitely worth crafting life onto ours, but then you scroll down and you look at this as 36 life, and this has room for a crafted damage mod, and this is up for 1C. So who's wrong, basically? Which makes me very, very unwilling to take the risk of throwing 4 chaos at this. Admittedly, 4 chaos is not too terribly much, but if we don't make back that money, I'll feel a little bad. So what I'm going to do is hedge my bets, and this may not be the right call, but I'm going to go ahead and do it nonetheless. I'm going to, instead of going for the 4 chaos, I'm going to go for the 10 alt craft, which will put some amount of life on it, which will make it come up in a lot more searches, because say we roll 30 life, that's 30 life plus the 52 strength worth of life, which is 56 life. So that's going to come up in searches that are a little lenient on life and just want a good amount of damage and some accuracy. Whereas this is honestly going to do not much more for us and be much more costly. 10 alts is, I think, less than a chaos right now. I'd have to check, though. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Get 34 life. We got the literal top roll for it. And then I'm going to list it at... It's difficult to tell from those searches. I think we're going to start it at 40 chaos. I think those guys with 100 to 120, 140 chaos rings were overestimating the value of what they had a bit. And I'm willing to see this move quickly and just make a good profit on it. So we're going to start it at 40C. And we'll see how long it takes to sell. With a life roll that low, I imagine it won't sell very quickly. And we may have to drop the price a bit. But it's an interesting ring nonetheless, and was certainly a cool learning opportunity. Now let's go to Ghoul Rosary here. 24% spell damage. And the reason I set this aside is because it's fucking weird. Pardon my French, but it doesn't synergize very well with itself, and I doubt this has any value. But I kind of wanted to check nonetheless. 24 spell damage is really high. 11 to 21 fizz damage is really high. 29 crit multi is really high. I don't know where this would really work. A Crown of Eyes barrage build, but it doesn't have any life, doesn't have any resists, and that's going to undo it. You know, I don't think this is actually worth anything, but it's just so weird. I wanted to see if there were any other things on the market quite like it, which, you know, given it's only 3 rolls, I imagine there are, but let's check. I do this from time to time, pretty much just for fun. I'll look up other items to see whether or not there's things listed on the market like them and see what people are thinking they're worth. It's 32 fizz, which is, of course, 32 total divided by 2 is 16, so we're going to put in an average of 14 physical damage to attacks, and then get spell damage of 20, and crit multi. I'm very curious to see. Crit multiplier, global crit multiplier of 25? Sure, 25. Let's see what comes up. 29 results, and as you can see, this is basically our amulet, because our amulet doesn't really have anything else of value, and it's 1C, so it's not actually worth anything to have these all together, but I just wanted to see what else was out there, basically, as far as these kinds of amulets are concerned, as far as those 3 rolls together are concerned. But if we were to scroll down to the bottom and see what's real expensive, perhaps, we might find something cool. Like you. 30x, that seems a little excessive. A little excessive. Anyways, I didn't really expect to get much value out of that amulet. I may as well list it at a chaos, but I don't think it will sell. I guess it's a slightly better amulet than that one. We'll put it at 2 because it has a resist and a better implicit. But yeah, that's going to be it for me tonight, guys. I hope you all enjoyed the stream. The stream, I've been streaming way too much lately. That's just ingrained in my head to say that now at the end of recording something. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and do remember to tune in for the next episode. These come out every other day, and hey, if you're interested, you can always tune in at the stream as well and see how and where and why the magic happens, and watch me fill this tab back up, and then come back to the YouTube channel and watch me price check it all again a day or two from now. So, thank you for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. You can find any of the relevant links down below, and I hope to see you next time. Have a good night, everybody.